Hey, happy Resurrection Sunday. I just came back from church and I want to share something with you. And, if you're not interested in this stuff, just sign off now. If not, let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel. Today I'm going to just do a Sunday morning brief as opposed to my normal morning brief. And I want to talk about what I picked up on in church today. So my thing about the Bible is every now and then I read things in it that convinces me that it's divinely inspired. I am not the type of person who's looking for a scientific proof that the Bible is accurate because it was written centuries before the scientific method was even discovered. It wouldn't make any sense for God to speak in using the scientific method, like, say, when he described in Genesis, the beginning, how the earth was formed. The people at that time did not have the scientific method, so it would make sense to them. And there's some things I do believe I'll never understand about the Bible because or God, because I'm limited as biological creature. There's two parts to all of us. I think it is the flesh and the spirit, and the flesh is limited. If God laid out his entire plans to me, it would make no sense because I'm physically and even spiritually incapable of understanding everything he understands and knows. It would be like me trying to teach algebra to a chicken. They don't understand the concept of numbers and things like that. So it's a giant waste of time. So I believe that God explained things as best as we could understand at the time period. So when people are looking for either historical facts or scientific facts to disprove or prove the Bible, it's just a waste of time. In my opinion, the Bible is more about relationships, our relationship with God, with each other, and how to navigate this world. To me, what the Bible's about is God's longing for us to restore the relationship, well, for him to be able to restore the relationship that we had with him when we walked with him in a garden in perfect unity. So, to me, that's what the Bible's about. If I'm looking for some sort of proof that it is divinely inspired, I don't look in the Bible itself. I do look inside the Bible itself. I don't look for science to help me. Since the Bible is about human nature, at least it's a very accurate depiction of human nature, and human nature doesn't change. If I see things that kind of operate outside of that, that can tell me that there's more going on than just a man writing a book that he thinks he could use to control the world. If I see things that work outside the culture that would be exceptional because of the time period, that also gives me an idea that it might be divinely inspired. For example, Bill O'Reilly wrote a pretty interesting book, Killing Jesus, and it didn't talk about the miracles or anything like that. It just talked about Christ as a man and the things that he was doing. And what the book really did well, I think, was it set up the environment, the culture in which Christ functioned as an adult man. So, and the reason for that, it gave you a new perspective on the things he said, because back then he was saying things that put him at risk of being killed at any moment by the Roman leaders, all the Pharisees who would rat him out. Because he challenged them all the time. He challenged cultural beliefs. He challenged cultural standards, things that normally get you killed. But Christ was able to tie up the Pharisees in knots, using the Bible, using, of course, his ultimate knowledge of human behavior. So he dumbfounded them and left them flat-footed. But you really, again, Bill O'Reilly's book, by setting up the environment in which this occurred, you really appreciated, like, oh my God, ironically, oh my God, the bravery it took to just speak these things out loud in public was just a miracle in itself. So getting back to, so that's why again I look for things that knowing if you have a better understanding of the culture and the times in which the Bible occurred over the 1,000+ years history, you can start looking at things that are kind of out of the ordinary. For example, like Exodus, you have it answers the question to me, and I got this from Dennis Prager, brilliant man. That the question is, why doesn't God show himself? Well, in Exodus, he did. Came as a pillar of fire, things like that. He parted the Red Sea, and it just showed what humans would do if God came and showed himself. Within a half an hour, they were worshiping the golden calf after they had seen all these miracles. Because again, God knows us. He knows that it takes faith to really bridge the gap, and of course, Christ to bridge the gap between him and us. Our eyes and our senses are not enough because eventually we take them for granted or disbelieve that too. Another thing that made me believe the Bible is inspired by God was look at the characters in the Bible. If a human were writing characters in the Bible, they'd make himself look like the hero. You wouldn't see David as a flawed human being or Paul as a murderer. Again, David being adulterer. Moses being insecure and not well spoken and kind of complaining all the time. The heroes of the Bible are not men at all, which leads me to the thing I learned just the significance of just recently. I always knew that Mary was the first person to see the resurrected Christ, but the significance of it really didn't hit me until recently when you understand that in her time period, within the Roman government and Roman culture, a woman's testimony meant nothing. Like I said, you may have known this already, but this is news to me, so I'm just sharing it because I'm a biblical novice for the most part. But if you were writing it, you would not make a woman the first person to witness Christ if you're just made up. You would say it's Peter or James or John or someone like that who's seen it, because a man's testimony has authority back then. You would never think a woman's testimony would have authority at any time unless you knew the entire timeline and knew that eventually a woman's testimony would be equal to a man. That'd be a good guess, maybe, or unless it actually happened. And that's what happened. That Mary was the one who was first to see and recognize Christ. And that's very significant. Again, to me, that shows that the Bible's not written by man, but it's written by, with the inspiration of God. Because those are some of the things that fall outside of the cultural norms at the time. And you wouldn't expect someone to write it that way. Anyway, that's about it. I'm not going to belabor the subject because, again, I'm sure I'm probably making mistakes here and there, or leaving things out, things that you, who probably knows more about the Bible than I do, would cite as your proof. But I'll get to that eventually. So hopefully I didn't insult too many people, and that's my take basically on this subject. I hope you have a blessed and happy Resurrection Sunday.